Jody Sub-Zero, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about how rude am I? How is it that I start the video and I don't even talk about what I'm eating? Today I'm having a smoothie. I believe the calories in this is about 90. I'll leave it on screen, but I try to use milk mostly because I like milk and also because I like the thickness that it leaves. Not a big fan of like almond milk or oat milk or some of those other low calorie milks. One, there's no protein, and two, it just has a different taste that I'm not a big fan of. But what is everyone eating? I've been struggling lately, I'll be honest with you. I've been struggling with the eating lately. I've been slacking a bit with counting calories. I would say within the last definitely year for sure, like the last 12 months was slacking quite a bit. And one day I looked in the mirror and I was not happy. While I was still quote unquote slim, I was not satisfied with the build. So I'm back to counting to at least get back to the mindset of being aware of what I'm intaking. I don't know if I'll be counting calories for life, but it is a good tool to kind of limit yourself. And at times I try to do the intermittent fasting when possible. For instance, if I am not eating breakfast, I'll try to break the fast at 12 and I'll finish eating by 8 p.m. And what that would allow me to do is I'll be focused on not eating around the clock. That's really what it comes down to. It's not really about like starving yourself. I don't know. I dislike when people say that. It's not about starving yourself. It's about controlling what you're eating and being mindful. All right, it's time to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and maybe a couple snacks in between, but that's about it. Since paper straws are somehow a thing, I decided to double down and say, fuck paper straws. Got me some metal straws. My son is very loud. Other than telling me what you guys ate, I'm curious to know, what was 2024 like for everyone in terms of video games, in terms of gaming? Doesn't have to be new games. Doesn't have to be strictly games that release in 2024. You have a backlog. Everybody has a backlog, and sometimes you're not in the mood to play what's recent. So it's a little bit of relief going to the backlog and just choosing what I'm in the mood for. So I have a list of games that I've completed in 2024, and it's a list, all right. The list is varied and is some of these games are, man, I can't believe I even played these games, but let's share these games, shall we? One of the first games that I had on my backlog was a compilation pack. It's the Disney Afternoon Collection. I normally don't play 8-bit games. I do play games that are in the style of NES games, but 8-bit wasn't really my strong suit. I wasn't really an NES guy. I've barely completed any NES games, to be honest. I can't even really think of one off the top of my head other than Double Dragon 2 that I beat. I didn't even beat any of the classic Mario games, believe it or not. Well, legit, I did beat Mario 3, but I cheated quite a bit, just like every kid did back in the day. But as an adult, never really went back to like Mario 3, Mario 2, or Mario 1. Didn't do it. Oh, there's also the Castlevania games that I completed as well. I beat 1, 2, 3. But the Disney Afternoon Collection, the reason why I wanted to clear all the games there is I bought the game because I missed out on those games. I grew up on Disney Afternoon. I grew up on Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, Gummy Bears. I grew up on Darkwing Duck. I grew up on even stuff like Bonkers. And get ready, guys, because you're not going to like what I'm about to say. But I was also a big fan of the Mighty Ducks. Huge fan of that. I just love the Disney Afternoon in general. Part of the reason why I love the Disney Afternoon is because I grew up not having cable all the time. My parents couldn't afford having cable around the clock, so I did have the rabbit ear antennas, and the rabbit ear antennas made everything look like complete garbage. So just hearing the theme song, the opening theme song for when the Disney afternoon started in this collection was really cool. Matthew, look who's here. Say hi. Hi. Hi, baby. Say hi. What are you watching? He's watching Elmo again. And he was eating some Teddy Grahams over there. Matthew, you want to go over there? I'll see you over there, okay? Sometimes I give him the Switch and he actually plays it. So, and I have to say, the collection itself, DuckTales was a standout. DuckTales 1. DuckTales 2 was eh. But the rest of the games I was not a fan of. Didn't like the Chip and Dale games, which surprised me. A lot of people loved the first one. Didn't like it. Didn't like Rescue Rangers 2. Didn't like Darkwing Duck. Did not like Tailspin. And even DuckTales 2, while I enjoyed it, I think the best one was the first one. It's nothing to really write home about. But boy, Tailspin, oh gosh. Tailspin was perhaps one of the worst games I've played in a long time. So I'm going to leave it there. I think if you can get the game on the cheap, I guess it's probably fun. I really did not find it as good as some of the other Capcom collections, but I think just to kind of see how a lot of these licensed games from Capcom were back in the day, especially on the NES, I think it's probably worth checking out. Maybe not beating the games, but at least try them out just to see how they are. And as always, Capcom does a pretty good job at making compilations. So while the games you may not agree are wonderful or even much fun, the whole package and the presentation, really good. Next game that I beat was a game that I've had on the Wii U. I think it was, I want to say 2013, because it was, I remember this game because it came out, I believe, around the same time as GTA 5 and before the PS4's release. I'm probably misremembering some of this stuff, but I finally got to play Rayman Legends, and I have the Wii U version. I probably beat, I don't know, a few levels, a handful of levels. Couldn't get into it. I guess after beating Crash 4 the previous year in 2023, I said, man, I'm really in the mood for another platformer, and somehow Rayman Legends reminded me very much of Crash Bandicoot 4, which is strange, right? It's strange that Rayman Legends came out way before Crash 4, and Crash 4 was the reason why I went back to Rayman Legends. And Rayman Legends, I played on the PS5, I beat the whole game, and I have to say, it's a really good game. Though, sorry about that. So I went food shopping not that long ago to get healthy snacks, and I'm over here getting like protein ice cream, and I'm getting like water, getting the chicharrones, because chicharrones, by the way, if you guys don't know about that, you need to really look into that. The macros are insane. But anyway, so I'm like, oh, everybody talks about how Rice Krispie treats are 10 out of 10 snacks, and they're great macros, and they're really good for you, right? Why? I don't understand. This shit is small. It's 90 calories. How is this worth it? What is this? Like, I'm being serious. Like, what is this? This shit is 90 calories. I'm already halfway done. I can eat that whole box in probably like an hour. Maybe less. I'll still be hungry. So anyway, I beat Rayman Legends. Rayman Legends, it was really good. Though, I will admit, when I beat the game, I was like, that really scratched the Crash 4 itch that I had. After completing Crash 4, I thought, man, I need to play something just like Crash 4. And what I really liked about Crash 4 is that it reminded me of the Donkey Kong Country Return games. I don't know if you agree with me there, but like Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, and now on Switch, the remaster, and Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze those are like top tier platformers in my opinion. Better than the Mario games in my opinion. Maybe not Wonder, but definitely like some of the more recent like 2D Mario games, like especially like the new Super Mario Bros. Games. The Country Return series stomps it to the ground. Crash 4 really reminded me of those games, and I really love Crash 4. The gem collecting and the crystal collecting is complete bullshit, but the game itself, you're just doing just like a run of finishing the levels from point A to Z and just finishing all the levels. Wonderful. Super fun. Rayman Legends, if I were to say, give some criticism over it, don't remember any of the bosses. Some of the worlds are, some of them weren't fun. There's some chicken levels that are there. You turn into this chicken. I didn't like that. There's some underwater levels that I wasn't a big fan of. I was like, I don't know about this. As a huge fan of the Oceans movies, as in Oceans 11, Oceans 12 even, I really like that movie. I'd even say I love that movie, to be honest. Oceans 12, have a soft spot for that movie. But there's a specific part in that movie where the guy is dancing around lasers. And is it just me? Did they do a nod to that movie in this level? Because to me, that's what it seems like. I played the game and I was just like, is this Ocean's 12? Holy hell. Overall, it's a game that has wonderful graphics, tight gameplay. The level design is top tier. And while the bosses, I don't remember a single one, I recommend Rayman Legends, especially at $5. I bought the game for $5 on a flash sale, and I thought it was probably the best value you can get ever. Here's one that I don't know a lot of people played. In fact, I don't think a lot of people remember this game. It's not even an old game. It's rather recent. I have a lot of nostalgia for this game too, because just thinking about the game, I automatically think of an anime that I was watching alongside it. And it is Silent Hope for the Nintendo Switch. It is available on Steam if I'm not mistaken, but I've got it on Switch. I got the launch edition. Came in this nice pretty box. This is a dungeon crawler. It's a dungeon crawler from the creators of like the Story of Seasons games, if I'm not mistaken. And they even have references to the Story of Season games here. It's really cool. You know, the old Harvest Moon games. It's really cool. Very pretty game to look at. I love chibi character design. I think it's really cute. But the game is a dungeon crawler. It's an action RPG. What you're doing is you're these characters that somehow don't speak. They don't speak. You're not going to believe the story. Brace yourself. So somehow the kingdom fell into this void and everybody turned into these crystal things. You free this princess and the princess is like, hey, you got to help my dad. He's in this abyss. Please dive into the abyss and free my kingdom. So she summons these warriors who don't have a voice. And that's why it's called Silent Hope. Get it? Because they're silent protagonists and they're their only hope. Well, that's the story of the game. There's not much story. As you get deeper into the abyss, what ends up happening is you read these notes from either the king or the princess that kind of unveils what is really happening. Bottom line, you're just moving down the dungeons. You're diving deeper and deeper, killing stronger monsters, leveling up, and that's it. That's really what it comes down to. It's a grind fest, the game. And the game is a lot of fun. Listen, I am a huge dungeon crawler fan. I love dungeon crawlers. What's cool about the game is there's about 7 characters that you can pick from, and all of them have their own specialty. One wields a giant sword. He's a lot slower than everybody. Another one uses daggers. The other one uses bow and arrow. One's a mage. Typical stuff. While all 7 characters are playable, you're only using one at a time, and you can switch to another character during certain points. And when you switch to the other character during certain points, you get these bonuses, like these buffs, to kind of incentivize to use multiple characters. But honestly, I use one character and one character only. What I really like is that the weapons change. They have a visual change, which is something that I really hate that most games don't do. I hate when you equip a new sword in an RPG and the sword looks the same. It's just a generic sword. Well, in this game, it looks fucking different and it's freaking awesome. I love it. The game, again, really liked it. Loved it. Actually, I thought it was a lot of fun. I was watching Attack on Titan the last 2 seasons when I was playing this game, and you know, every time I think of Silent Hope, I think of Attack on Titan. Another game that I beat. This one isn't. I can't say much about this one because this one is, you can beat it in about 45 minutes, and it's Cotton Fantasy. Yes, Cotton. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Cotton, but Cotton is basically Death Smiles before Death Smiles. Trouble Witches before Trouble Witches. It is a witch on a broomstick. She wants candy, and she's shooting everything in sight to obtain this candy. It's really fun, very basic. If you've known me, I've loved the game on the Turbo Duo. I thought it's, in my opinion, I think it's top 25 shoot 'em ups or shmups of all time. The soundtrack is definitely top soundtracks ever on that system, alongside Lords of Thunder and Dracula X. Cotton, freaking awesome. But somehow Cotton has some sort of resurgence. Never did I think that we would see Cotton release not 1, not 2, not 3, but multiple games, whether they're re-releases or brand new entries. And Cotton Fantasy, which used to be called Cotton Rock and Roll, I believe is what it was called, but Cotton Fantasy is the US name, the Western release. And the game doesn't just have Cotton as a playable character, but several characters are playable, and all these characters play very different from one another. If you pick her, the main character, she plays just like she did in the previous games. You pick up different colors and you get the flame charge up attack, you get the thunderbolt, you get a whole bunch of different stuff like the wind move. Then there's other characters like one of the robots from this game that I have no idea where she came from, but the robot is a mech. She's freaking hilarious to use. She has these giant grenades that she throws at people, and I think it's funny. Then there's this other character that, as you get near misses, it allows her to charge up her special attack, and it's just fun to get near misses. It just reminds me of like Burnout Paradise and Burnout Revenge, where you want to intentionally have near misses. There's like this other witch that you can play as that is similar to Cotton, and the levels are just, they're very, very out there. At some point, you go to fucking space. I'm like, how are they in space? Like, sure, some of these characters are robots and some of them are other beings, but Cotton in space? Just want to let you know she has a helmet on. I think the game is cool. I think it's a lot of fun. This is a game that I would not say is a top tier shoot 'em up, but it's one that you should check out if you're a fan of the genre, especially if you're a fan of Cotton. I think it was well worth the, I think I paid like $10, maybe less. I don't remember. Gotta talk about the big one. Gotta talk about the big one of last year. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. What a great game. Had a lot of fun with that one. Look at this. Still hungry. Just want to let you know that. It was everything that I wanted in the game. There was nothing that the game did that I disliked. Minus the Zack BS. Not a big fan of Zack. In fact, here's a secret. Here's something that I don't want to say out loud, but I'm going to have to say it. I don't like him. I hate Zack. I really hate his storyline. I hate his character. I hate everything about Zack. Now, I liked Zack during the PS1 days, but ever since Crisis Core, I've grown to hate him. I really did. I don't like him. I even don't like him in Birth by Sleep. Kingdom Hearts. But I can see why people like Zack. You know, he's a likable character. I just dislike him. I don't think he's written poorly. I think he's a nice guy. I think he tries to help out when he can. But I just don't like Zack. So, other than that, I thought it was a really good game, man. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I clocked in about 70 hours. Did absolutely not a single side quest. If you guys haven't watched my video, check it out. I talk for quite a bit. And it's because I have an open world fatigue. for games. I don't like playing games with open world. Even if it's a semi-open world, it gives me PTSD. So I try to just mainline the game, and that's exactly what I did. And while I didn't have my new TV when I played this game, it still looked very good. And my TV was dying when I was playing it. Everything was just gray. It was rather crappy. It's on PC right now. If you really want to play the best version, your best bet is getting it on Steam. I played it on PlayStation. I don't think I'm going to dump another 70 hours into the game. Man, the combat was fun. The boss battles are super epic. Story was freaking awesome. They really did beat for beat. Everything was just identical to what you remember on PS1, minus a few changes towards the last act, I'd say. This was one of the games that I just kept telling myself as I was playing it, and I was getting ready to turn it off because I had to go to work the next day. Fuck. I want to keep playing. That doesn't happen often. Guys, so I'll let you know, I'm obsessed with Coke Zero. I used to believe that there was no difference between Diet Coke and Coke Zero. I am now a believer. There's a huge difference. In fact, I don't think I go back to the diet. It's rather disgusting. I had to show support to Capcom once again. I'd say that Capcom is one of those developers that when they release a game, chances are I'm buying it. I got the Marvel vs. Capcom Collection. Wow, what a nice trip down memory lane it was. Every game on this list is so much fun. I was playing them and I just couldn't believe how well crafted each game was. It comes with X-Men Children of the Atom, comes with Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I played the games in the order that I owned. So the first thing I did is I played Marvel Superheroes, because I never owned X-Men Children of the Atom. I played a little bit in the arcade, but wasn't too familiar with it. Love that game. My man Shimmer Gareth is in it. I'm going to hit you with the Chaos Dimension. No matter how hard you try to escape it, I'm grabbing you. It's so much fun playing as almost every character. Wolverine is fun. Shimmer Gareth is fun. Doctor Doom is absolutely broken, and he's so much fun to play as. And so is Thanos. Iron Man, a blast. After I finished that game a few times with a few characters, I then moved on to X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And X-Men vs. Street Fighter, just like Marvel Superheroes, I owned it on PlayStation. And while it wasn't as good as the arcade version, I'm not going to sit here and lie. When I owned it on PS1, was it a little slow? I guess it was slow, but to me, I didn't notice at the time. To me, it was fast as hell, and I had a blast. X-Men vs. Street Fighter was a little disappointing. When I first bought it, we bought it used at some mom and pop store when I lived in Harlem. And we knew that you couldn't switch characters. It looked strange too. There was something off about the animations. I couldn't pinpoint it at the time. In hindsight, now I know it was just missing animations because PlayStation couldn't handle those sprites. But you know what? I had a lot of fun playing it still. I had so much fun back in the day. Playing it here, it's not the same as playing the PlayStation version. I wish they included the PS1 version just for shits and giggles. But playing this one in the arcade, the soundtrack. Love the soundtrack. Rogue's theme, Gambit's theme. Some of these backgrounds are just so engraved into my memory. When you're on top of that plane, I think it's like the Shadowloo level, the hangar that the plane is rising up. Oh, it's so cool, man. Love that game. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, I didn't own it on PlayStation because we were broke, so I couldn't buy it. But I did have Marvel vs. Capcom on Dreamcast. I played that game so much. Somehow, the characters that are selectable in that game, they're not my favorite. I still prefer games like X-Men vs. Street Fighter or even Marvel Superheroes. I know that's a hot take. I'm going to say it. I know it's a hot take. I know we have some memorable dudes like Mega Man is in there, Jin is in it, you know, I get it, but there's just certain characters that I'm like, why aren't they in it? Where's Ken? Sure, Ryu can turn into Ken, I get it, Ryu can do it, fine, he can turn into Akuma, cool, right? But where's Iron Man? Where's Sabretooth? That was my boy in X-Men vs. Street Fighter. He was so much fun to use. It's just stuff like that, but the game itself, 10 out of 10. And of course, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I remember we had to beg my father to get us Marvel vs. Capcom 2. My father had a very specific taste in games. In fact, he had bad taste in games. he wanted us to play what he wanted to play. I'm like, dude, you don't even play games. Like, why are you forcing us to play this turd? Like, what is this? Like, he used to buy me some very bad games on the Dreamcast. I'm talking about some games that I can't shake till this day. He got me this game called Time Stalkers. He got me this other game called Dragulus. Look at the footage, it sucks. He got me this other game called Soul Fighter. He got me this tank game on the Dreamcast. I don't even remember the name. Something Metal? Wild Metal? I don't freaking know. That game sucks. I hated it. There was a lot of games that I had on Dreamcast that I loathed. I can't stand them. So we went to the game store and I was just like, Dad, please. It was summer too. It was summer. My father was like, pick a game. And me and my brother are there and we already know that we wanted Marvel vs. Capcom 2. A friend of mine named Edgar had it, and he was gloating beyond belief. He was like, haha, you cocksuckers always get games late. I got Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Sorry, someone was at the door. But yeah, he's like, yeah, haha, you cocksuckers. And me and my brother were like, we got to convince our dad to get this game. So my dad is like, pick a game. And he's over here showing us games I never heard of. Again, stuff that I'm like, I don't want this game, please. So my dad asked the guy, hey, what games are popular right now? Like, what are some new games or some hot releases? And my man's knew what we wanted, so he pulled out the Dreamcast version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. He put it there. He put some other games there I'm not remembering at the moment. My father's like, I don't know. That game sucks. My father's just looking at us, and we're just like, please, Dad, please get us this game. You don't have to get us anything else ever again. And he gives in, and he looks a little, I don't know, somehow sad that he bought us the game. So he bought the game, we got home, and we left the Dreamcast on forever. It never turned off. Just want to let you know that. The moment we got home and we started playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, we unlocked everybody relatively quickly, I would say. It was pretty quick. We unlocked everybody quickly because unlike today, every character had to be unlocked in that game. As in, you had to beat the game, get currency, gain some points, and purchase each character. And it was just fun. You unlock a character and you're like, I want to beat the game with them. Even though there were no unique endings, if I'm not mistaken, it was still fun just having people on your team that you never played as before. Or some throwbacks like, oh my god, Iceman from X-Men. Or, oh my god, it's Colossus. Oh my god, it's Juggernaut. Oh my god, it's Wolverine with the bone. Or, oh my god, it's, you get me? Like, you're just like playing as these characters that you normally wouldn't really try, but because you just unlock them, you put time and effort into purchasing them. So you just try them out. And man, we had some back and forths in that game. But Marvel vs. Capcom Collection, worth every penny. Before we get into this next game, I want to explain how I obtained the game that I played next. Because the game that I obtained, I didn't mean to get. I just had it. I was like, oh, crap, how the hell did this happen? But when I went to buy Marvel vs. Capcom Collection, I was looking at a sale that PlayStation had on their store. And I'm thinking, okay, let me see what they have. And sometimes I like to add games to wish list. Sometimes I add games to the cart just in case I forget. And whatever, if the sale passes and it's still worth it, I get it. Sometimes I don't even buy it at all. But I was looking through the games and I had this game on sale in the cart. I think it was like $5, maybe 10 at most. I forgot about it. And when I checked the cart out, I didn't realize that the game went back up to full price to $20. So when I got Marvel vs. Capcom Collection, which was $50, I ended up paying $70, and the cart ended up being like $76. I'm like, why is it $76? Like, did I buy the deluxe edition for Marvel vs. Capcom Collection? And I scrolled down and I saw Mummy Demastered. Yes, Mummy Demastered, the licensed game by WayForward. I'm not a Halloween guy, but I am big on the fall. I was born in September. My youngest was born in September. My oldest was born in September. And I have a lot of fond memories when they were born and with their birthdays. And even my childhood, my parents used to really go all out for my birthdays in terms of presents and doing things for me that they really didn't have to do, but they did. And just thinking back, very nostalgic for it. And also, you know, when you're coming from the summer and then all of a sudden you're walking around, it's a little bit chillier, the leaves turn brown, and you see all the brats, you see them getting ready for school, and you're just like, oh, we're in the fall, right? There's something about that I love. I can't explain it. I love it. It's really cool. And when that happens, when I get that feeling, I go, because Halloween is around the corner, and just want to let everybody know, I don't celebrate Halloween. Not because I don't believe in Halloween or anything like that. My parents just raised us in a Christian household. And while I don't do any of that stuff or believe in any of that stuff, it's just something that I don't celebrate. So I don't go trick-or-treating or anything like that. But I do watch slasher films and horror films. And I also like to play Halloween-themed games as well. I remember one year I played Pumpkin Jack. One of the other years I played Medieval. And then I also played Death Smiles. I played a bunch of games the last few years, specifically Castlevania as well. So one fall day when I was waiting to pick up my oldest from school, I had the baby in the apartment just running around. I'm like, well, I got a few hours to kill. Let me see what I'm going to play. And I go ahead, just scroll through my list, and I see The Mummy Demastered sitting in my library. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I paid $20 for it. Might as well just give it a whirl. I started up. I played a few minutes, and the next thing I know, I beat the game. And holy hell, what a game. You know, I'm not a big Super Metroid fan. I don't know if you guys know this, but I love Metroidvania. I love the genre. I love Castlevania more than Metroid. In fact, I'm not really a Metroid fan. I beat a handful of games, but I never got into Super Metroid. I know. Hang me out to dry for that one, because I'm not. I just tried several times to play it, and I find the speedruns way more entertaining than the actual playthrough that I had of it. A lot of people compared The Mummy Demastered to Super Metroid, and while I can see the comparisons there, to me, I think The Mummy's fucking great. Like, I had such a blast playing through that game. The Mummy Demastered is probably the most criminally underrated Metroidvania game I've ever played. The soundtrack is a 10 out of 10. The sprite work, 10 out of 10. Just the design of the levels, the map, everything was so fun. I couldn't believe what I was playing. I was like, how is this game not being talked about? This is crazy to me. I'm telling you, like, Way Forward really blew my fucking mind with that game. I couldn't believe what I was playing. And after I beat that game, I really looked through the backlog. I said, okay, there's got to be some other games that I have that are as good, if not better, than The Mummy Demastered. And I decided to play another Castlevania game that I somehow didn't play very much of. And it was Aria of Sorrow. At first, I didn't like it. I'm just going to say it right now. As I was playing the game, I was like, I don't understand. Why do people like this game? This game is not better than Portrait of Ruin. This game is not better than Order of Ecclesia. I was even saying some dumb shit like, not better than Circle of the Moon. I don't know what the fuck I was smoking, but my end game, I was really looking back and thinking to myself, wow, this is probably top 5. Like, it's not better than Symphony of the Night, I'll say that. I don't like it better than Symphony of the Night. But, to me, it's better than probably every other game. I couldn't believe what I was playing. The soundtrack, the sprites, the levels, the bosses, what a game. Soma Cruz is fucking awesome. He's so cool, man. And to continue the Castlevania Halloween kick, I even played a game called Gal Guardian Demons Purge. And I was a little disappointed when I was playing it because it was not a Metroidvania game. It was a traditional Castlevania game with some Metroidvania elements. That game... oh, man, that game. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Galgun. Galgun is just like this weird game where there's these girls and you just gotta kind of like shoot them as Cupid or something like that. I never played it. I only saw gameplay of it. But then they made a spin-off game where 2 of the characters that are like demon hunters, I guess, in the story, you're actually demon hunting in the game. It has like this very strange story where the 2 girls enter this dimension that they weren't supposed to, and the dimension happens to be from one of the antagonists of Galgun, like some vampire girl, and the vampire girl has a lot of beef with them, just trying to play this very elaborate prank on them. You cross dimensions and you go through these worlds where you're saving some classmates. Somehow they enter the dimension and you have to collect them all. It's very strange, but I started just skipping all the cutscenes because I was just like, I can't do this. I can't. Listen, I love anime. This is too anime for me. The game is essentially Castlevania. There's a girl with a gun, there's a girl with a melee weapons, and you fuck everything up along your way. You're going through a castle, and you're just destroying every demon in sight. Classic demons like vampires, zombies, mummies, everything that you can think of that is Castlevania-esque. The game is quite hard. I got killed a lot, especially during some boss fights. The last boss can go fuck herself. Right? That last boss, it probably took me like 50 tries to defeat, but I did it. Galguardia has a sequel coming out too, and they have the demo on Steam, and I played it, and I thought it's even better because now it's a true Metroidvania game. It has a map and everything. And the first one had a map, but again, it was very limited. It's just pick a stage, and here, in this stage, you can roam about a little bit, but that's about it. It doesn't really connect like a true Metroidvania game. Graphics were good in this first game. Music was very entertaining, but the bosses, oh man, the bosses and some of the weapons that you get later on, completely broken. Some of those bosses get demolished when you fight them a second or third time. It's a really good game if you guys haven't checked it out. It's probably dirt cheap too. I think I paid like $10 or something like that. And the last game that I finished, and it's the Super Nintendo version of Rondo of Blood. This game sucked. It was absolutely terrible. I couldn't believe what I was playing. I was like, what a piece of shit this game was. Pure garbage. I don't care what anybody says. Some people say, oh, you gotta look at it as its own game. No. I played Dracula X, Rondo of Blood on the Turbo Dual R PC engine, and that game completely choke slams the Super Nintendo version. The music was fucking awful. Alright. The only thing that I'll say that I enjoyed about Castlevania is that when I played this game, I just got my new TV. And it looked, I know it looks like shit, the game, but somehow the TV made the game look very beautiful. I was like, wow, these sprites are vibrant. Like, what the hell? Like, Jesus Christ, this looks freaking great. I was like, what a piece of shit this game is. This is probably the year that I played the least amount of games. Matthew. Yeah, this kid. You know what he does? He puts his hand in his diaper, he just scratches his butt. That's what he's doing right now. Matthew, can you stop doing that, please? Matthew! Ugh, man. Time is of an essence. Time is something that is very difficult to manage. And these aren't the greatest games that I've played, but had a good time playing them. So, but yeah, what games did you beat last year? I know I'm like 3 months into the new year, and I should have been talking about games that I'm playing this year, but I kind of wanted to share what I was playing last year to catch up. So just let me know in the comments what you guys ate today and what you played, and I'll see you in the next video. Later, guys.